you. You look fabulous, darling.
I roses, the Valentine's Day roses next to me, and I'm not in my beloved home state of Virginia. I'm in sunny Palm Beach, so you can probably see some palm trees behind me. But I want to start by saying Happy Valentine's Day. I feel incredibly honored and blessed to be on your program. And, really, thank you for everything you do. I'm just blessed and honored to be here. And I just want to take a moment to offer prayers and love and support to the families in Michigan that have this loss. And as a nation, we are weeping. Our hearts are heavy. This is a time when we should be offering love and support to those families. Instead, so many are trying to politicize this horrific event. And breaks my heart because I believe we're called to offer love and prayers and support when these tragedies happen. And yet there are those that are automatic, that are already calling for, a complete ban on Second Amendment rights. And I tell people when these tragedies happen, we need to lift, as a nation, we need to lift up these families in prayer and show them support. And every time something like this happens, it's an automatic call to ban our Second Amendment rights that come from God, not the government. And, guns do not kill people, people kill people. And I say that just as a gentle reminder to all of those that are out there demanding a complete ban on our Second Amendment rights, to remember that during this tragedy.
I completely agree with you. My husband was telling me about that this morning. And, I was sitting here, I had talked about all things this morning before I brought you over. And one thing that was really just striking to my core was the branding of Jesus and Jesus needing a PR team. And, how I'm linking it up to what happened in Michigan is this: we as a nation shouldn't have to brand Jesus or have a PR team for him, because if we hadn't have removed him from schools and prayer and continue the removal of him, we would be seeking him. We would be bringing more of him into everything. And that has happened over the years, how he just continues to be removed from everything. So when it comes to the prayer and thoughts towards these families, yes, most definitely.
Well, and, speaking of that, there's a complete destruction of, this desire to do away with the family unit.
Exactly.
And offering, dark imagery and satanic imagery to our children. And it's the over sexualization of our children in our country. And, I have to say that, I'm a Virginia girl. I grew up right outside of our nation's capital. I grew up proudly saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I come from a family where my mom and my dad taught us every day, in the United States of America, we are so blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, where no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, you can be anything you want in life is hard. And, I was taught, I'm the youngest of three girls. I was taught to love our country, to love America and our values, our to cherish our values. And, I feel very blessed. My mom and my dad were married for 57 years before they both passed away. And, my heart aches because I'm seeing just the destruction of the family unit. And it's so important that we give our children a healthy, wholesome, all-American experience. The ones that I had growing up, and I'm sure you had growing up, right?
Yes.
Of our beloved country, and to be patriotic, and to be good people, to be good to each other, and to, and what are we seeing now in the classroom? We're seeing just a horrific display of wanting to tear down the family unit, of encouraging, sterilization of children, just to not love our country, to distrust each other. I mean, and also there's something else I want to bring up now. Growing up really had a strong sense of global politics, not just global politics, but global geography. where we stood in the world. And young people today just aren't learning about these fundamental principles of, why we are the greatest nation on earth. And there's this
Exactly.
blurring of the lines.
Yes.
And it's heartbreaking to see that. And I think that it's up to us. I just had dinner with Michael Flynn, General Flynn.
Yes.
Great,
Yeah.
great patriot. And he's such a wise man, and I didn't realize this until until Saturday evening on February 11th, when I don't know if you know this either, and I don't know if most Americans know this, but he was one of the potential picks for President Trump's vice presidential candidate list. It was Mike Pence, Mike Flynn, and two other individuals that were being considered by President Trump to be his vice president.
Yes.
And so I learned that last night, and it really sunk in. He said, "You know what, Martha? It's up to us. We can't. There's nobody else that's going to come in and save our country. There's nobody else that's going to come in and teach fundamental values of to our children. It's us. We are the ones who have to do it.
It is.
So those words really are really dear to me. And every morning I thank God for the privilege of being born in this beloved country, and I remind myself that there is nobody else. It's us. It's we the people.
Exactly. I have a question for you. I do have it teed up if you wanted to watch it. Have you seen Nikki Haley's commercial yet for her announcement?
I have not. No, I have not.
Would you mind if I played it? Because I want your opinion. I gave the audience my opinion already. And I don't know if you heard any of my opening monologue, and that's fine if you didn't. I want to hear your first opinion, and I'd love to talk more. And I want you to share with the audience your background as to how you've gotten to where you are, and just that the relationships that you have built within this high levels of government and what we see for 2024. So let me go ahead and tee this up. I want to go ahead and add it to the stream, and then let me go ahead and hit it.
By race. I was the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Not black, not white. I was different. But my mom would always say, your job is not to focus on the differences, but the similarities. And my parents reminded me and my siblings every day how blessed we were to live in America. Some look at our past as evidence that America's founding principles are bad. They say the promise of freedom is just made up. Some think our ideas are not just wrong, but racist and evil. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have seen evil. In China, they commit genocide. In Iran, they murder their own people for challenging the government. And when a woman tells you about watching soldiers throw her baby into a fire, it puts things in perspective. Even on our worst day, we are blessed to live in America. I was born and raised in South Carolina, so I have seen the very best of our country. People here threw out the old, tired political establishment and demanded accountability for their tax dollars. Industry reports called us the beast of the Southeast, which I loved. People came by the thousands for fresh starts. Moms and dads held their heads up high. Children learned that it was always
It's a great day in South Carolina.
It's a great day.
It's a great day.
A great day. A great day in South Carolina. We were strong. We were proud. And when evil did come,
Police in South Carolina are looking for a gunman following a shooting at a church.
Several victims. We don't know the severity.
we turned away from fear, toward God, and the values that still make our country the freest and greatest in the world. We must turn in that direction again. Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections. That has to change. Joe Biden's record is abysmal, but that shouldn't come as a surprise. The Washington establishment has failed us over and over and over again. It's time for a new generation of leadership, to rediscover fiscal responsibility, secure our border, and strengthen our country, our pride, and our purpose. Some people look at America and see vulnerability. The socialist left sees an opportunity to rewrite history. China and Russia are on the
I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I mean, I think we get the gist of what she's looking to do. What are your initial thoughts on that? There was just a few seconds left in that.
Eager to hear your thoughts. Well, first, I want to talk about a few things. Number one, I get asked almost every day as I travel across our great nation, don't I want a conservative Republican woman as president of the White House?
Yeah.
Great nation in the White House. And let me just say that, I do not vote for candidates based on whether or not they are women or not.
Exactly.
I vote the best possible candidate that's going to defend our constitutional rights and to keep the American dream alive.
Yes.
I vote for.
Yes.
If that candidate is a woman, then of course, I'm all for it. But I literally get asked that, like, somehow because I'm a conservative woman, therefore I should automatically cast my vote for whoever is the female with an R to their name running for office.
Yes.
And then this thing I want to bring up is, one of my dear friends recently said this on the news, and that is, competition is American. Competition is good. Steel sharpens steel.
Yes.
You know who said that? Kellyanne Conway, who's been an advisor and a dear friend. She was asked, the same, a question about, the crowded field we're going to see, against, President Donald J. Trump.
Right.
She said, look, steel sharpens steel. This is what makes America great. What makes America great is competition.
Right.
It makes us better. It brings better product to market. It makes us stronger. And we see that time and time again in industry in particular, right? Come out with similar products, and the cream always rises to the top.
Yes.
In every situation, in every election, across the country. We're looking at Nikki Haley, Mike Pence,
Yes.
Pompeo. Sorry about that. It's my four-legged Secret Service team here, guarding the castle. But yeah, we're going to see a crowded field. I fully anticipate Ron to announce probably in the next 8 months. You can see that there's the book tours are trickling out, right?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, his starts the 28th of February, and then he's stacking it to California and Texas and beyond.
Yes, and of course, Mike Pompeo has his book tour going on. I know all of these candidates.
Yeah.
Some of them are dear friends, and some of them I know through politics, but I know every single one of them. And, how blessed are we to have, so many great candidates throwing their hat in. I mean, at the end of the day, there are certain things that are indisputable. Nobody can deny that President Donald John Trump did more in his first 500 days of office in terms of, promises made, promises kept than any other sitting president. Ronald Reagan, he declared sovereignty over the Golan Heights. 5 consecutive presidents on both sides of the aisle promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. He's the only one that did.
Yes.
Secure our borders, energy independence, national security, national defense security. Did you ever think you would see peace talks on the Korean Peninsula in our lifetime or ever?
No. Yeah.
The Abraham Peace Accords, lowest unemployment rate. I can go on and on and on.
Yes.
And here's the thing. People speak of, mean tweets, if you will. Well, how do you feel about, how do most Americans feel now? Elections have consequences.
Yes, they do.
Look at the cost of everyday goods, on the shelves in the supermarkets. These are, most Americans vote with their pocketbooks.
Right.
The cost of everyday goods, do I have enough gas in my tank to get to work, to take my kids to school, to put food on my table, to have a roof over the head over our heads for our families? These are what most Americans consider when they're at the polls. And
Mhm.
guess what? Eggs are so expensive. I mean,
Yes.
you're talking to a farm girl here. I mean, the cost of eggs are through the roof.
Yeah,
The
they
cost of everyday goods are skyrocketing. There's so much uncertainty and fear, and need hope right now. They need to know that they're going to have enough money to retire on, that they can afford, to pay the gas and electric bills, that they can provide for their families.
right.
This administration has done so much damage.
Yeah.
What under President Trump, we had energy dominance, literally
Right. Yes, we did.
energy dominance. And
Yes.
so now our president is begging for gas and oil from countries that hate us.
Right.
And this is what I tell everybody. Our electoral system in our country is far from perfect, as we all know.
Yes.
I mean, there's
Yes.
there's election integrity should be something that we focus a lot of our attention on. You know what's shocking? We have some of the most secure elections anywhere in the world, believe it or not. As flawed and as
Yeah.
we do. Now, there's one thing that we do need to get under control, and is my hope and prayer that Americans on both sides of the aisle will come to an agreement on this. We must stop sending ballots to
Yes.
people's doorsteps. I actually have a friend, a neighbor, who received 5 ballots, 5, at their house. Now, can somebody explain to me
That
what
makes sense.
or how that even happened?
Right.
Just, we're the greatest nation on earth. We have the most sophisticated technology, the most brilliant minds in the world, and we can't fix this problem.
Yes.
And you know what it is? They don't want it to get fixed.
Right. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's the whole control piece, the authoritarian piece.
Yeah, if they wanted it to be fixed, it would be fixed, and it hasn't been fixed because they don't want it to be fixed.
Right.
Don't even get me started on COVID, but we had the solution to COVID early on, but that didn't make money for the pharmaceutical companies.
No.
Yeah,
No.
it didn't make money. So, and I it's a terrible analogy to make, of course, right? Because innocent people died because of COVID.
Right.
But I'm going to make the analogy, and that is, just like there was a cure for COVID early on that nobody wanted to talk about,
Right.
because it didn't make anybody money, and people made all over the world because of it.
Right.
Just like it's akin to the problems we have with our elections in terms of having safe, accurate, elections. They don't want to fix it.
Right. Right. I just say hashtag common sense, hashtag election integrity, and hashtag take out the pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Because, where is the common sense in any of that? That's why the show exists. And the show is all about what is common sense and what happened to common sense as we continue into 2024. You asked me what my initial thoughts were on Nikki Haley jumping in. And, I have personal family who, really think a lot of her. And then I have other colleagues and clients who aren't so fond. And I decided to go into looking at her commercial. I thought it was coming out tomorrow. I thought I had it dated for tomorrow. So I wonder if they did it a day early. But the long and short of it, she opened immediately with the race card.
Right.
And that turned me off. It really turned me off. And I get where she was going with it, and I understand why she was doing it. But why did she have to open up with that? It was almost like having a Kamala Harris, sit there and say, I have an orange suit on and I'm a Black woman. Okay.
What was it that Biden said? And forgive me and remind me. What did he say? If you don't vote Democrat, you're not Black. Did he say something like that?
He may. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember. I will look it up and see if he actually. I'm sure he did, because that sounds like something he would say.
There was something to that effect that was.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in such a critical time, and not just American history, but where America stands globally.
Yes.
And, whoever's running for president, whether it's Pompeo,
Yep.
Pence, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis,
Yep.
Trump, what they need to lead with? They need, we're hiring them for the greatest job in the world,
Exactly.
United States.
Yes.
It's their job to convince us to hire them.
Yes.
And to that end, I want to, what I want to know? I want to know what you're going to do for everyday hardworking Americans that struggle.
Yes.
Are afraid for the future. They've been left time and time again.
Yes.
I want to know what you're going to do for the hardworking. I want to know what you're going to do to make America first. I want to know what you're going to do to secure our borders and to protect everyday hardworking Americans that love our country and they just want to be left alone. They want government to leave them alone. I want to know what you're going to do. What you're going to do for hardworking Americans. All of this other stuff. By the way, that commercial, Nikki, and I know Nikki. The commercial, Nikki, was way too long. Okay.
Yeah, it was long. I didn't want to keep going because it was a long commercial. They should have ended it. I loved how they ended it with, I always wore heels on my campaign trail. And I always said in my campaign speeches, I'm going to take these sharp heels and kick open some hard-headed doors in Raleigh. And she ended her commercial on a similar note. They needed to speed it up and get it to that point. It just went too long.
Right. No, I'm with you. And yeah, it was way too long. I would rather have had her or all the candidates focus on solutions. On day one, I'm going to do this for the economy. On day two, I'm going to do the border. On day three, I'm going to fix the energy crisis. And day four, drill baby drill. I'm opening up, America's going to be open for energy and go on and on and on and on. That's what I want to hear. I'm surprised she didn't put up pictures of her when she was in grade school with her, where's her kindergarten pictures? I mean, it was a little ridiculous. I
also was looking for answers on the next generation. Yeah, she talked about the next generation of leaders, but the transgender and CRT, I call it crap. And I know people don't like me using that word, but that's what it is. She didn't even talk about that. I am concerned about our next generation because they are no longer interested in understanding what patriotism is. They get a watered down history. They get watered down civics. They don't get it. And yet, and we wonder why the recruitment numbers are so low. And then it goes on and on and on. So where I want to hear what these candidates are going to talk about, what they're going to do for the next generation. And right now, all I hear that coming from is DeSantis. And yeah, I love the great state of Florida, and I admire what he's doing with the education piece to the state. But I want to hear it from others. If they're going to throw their hats in the ring, we've got to focus on saving our babies and what's going to be happening with the next generation.
Yes, no, you're right. And look, I'm in beautiful Palm Beach right now. The sun always shines. The palm trees always sway in the wind, and it's beautiful. But you know what? I think that that when we look at Florida, we need to look at the leadership, and it's been excellent from Ron DeSantis. He handled tragedy. He's dealt with COVID. How he handled COVID. Florida was open.
Yes, and it was.
See the ramifications of what's happening with our children. Many of them lost a whole year of education. They're repeating grades because they had no infrastructure because of the harsh positions that many governors took to shut down their entire states and shut down the schools, not even taking into consideration the impact that was going to have on our children.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, being here in the state of North Carolina, I got a call yesterday about the impacts of what is happening to our children. I got a call from someone who will be joining the show next week. I can't reveal any names or anything yet, but this person was sharing with me sexual assault of children. Parents filed claims. The school did nothing. Abuse, assault of a teacher, ER reports, police reports, filed a claim to the school, and the school said there wasn't enough evidence. What, does the person need to be dead? So my concern is what is happening to our education systems. I had yesterday on the show Senate candidate Jonathan E. Moore for the great state of Virginia. He's running. You need to check him out if you haven't yet. And his top piece to his platform is CRT transgender, he will put a bill on the Senate floor first thing to defund the infiltration of what is happening in the school systems in and around the state of Virginia. That is his first initiative. And I want to see that here. I want to see that taking place. And instead, all these different side stories are happening. And this whole transgender and trying to understand the identity piece is happening. And people are turning their blind eye to it, whether they're in the GOP or another party, they are turning blind eye to it. And so I do say, going back to the whole presidential platform piece, DeSantis has led the way. He has governed the state of Florida. And that's what we need as we look for a leader to run this nation.
Well, I think that, like I said, steel sharpens steel. I'm personally looking forward to the great debates that will unfold before us. And, I think that we are primed right now for what could be, global. We could be in war times right now and not even know it. There are things that have happened between China and the United States. I mean, let's not forget that President Biden allowed the spy balloon to travel over some of the most top secret defense areas in our country. And that's outrageous. It should never have gotten that far.
No, that's a dictator in chief. Yeah. I don't call him a commander in chief. I don't even call him the president. He is a dictator, bottom line. And he's in bed with the CCP. And don't you think we may be already at war with Russia, with everything we're doing with Ukraine?
Well, like I said, I don't think that the American people or even, around the world, people are fully aware of the ramifications of what is under this presidency. Yeah. And I can tell you one thing: if we end up in a global war, I can tell you we do not want President Biden in that White House.
Right.
We need somebody who is going to put the American people first, who's not going to be compromised in any way, and who's going to protect us as a nation and protect every single man, woman, and child. That's what we need. And point regarding education and protecting our babies and children, in Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, which is, home sweet home. I grew up in Mount Vernon, outside of our nation's capital, youngest of 3 girls, went to undergraduate school and law school in Virginia, right outside of DC. I can tell you that race, Terry McAuliffe lost that race when he said that moms and dads, parents, have no right over the education of their children. He immediately lost that race.
Yeah.
Nothing he could have said or done
will ever take that back.
Yeah. Because what he did was he ignited and brought out the mama and papa bears.
Yeah.
And on both sides of the aisle, because I don't care what you believe in. If you're a Republican, Democrat, undecided, independent, you don't tell parents that they don't have a right. They don't have a right to know or be involved in what their children are being taught in school.
Agreed. I completely agree. I have next week a set of parents coming on, and they're being told that currently. And, the fight, the grassroots effort that took place in Loudoun and Fairfax County needs to be happening everywhere.
Right across it. Well, I have 3 minutes left with you, because then at 10 o'clock, I'm doing another hit. But I wanted to just, first of all, say thank you. America needs you. We need more of you. And, what you're doing is so important. And, I really, I want everybody to hear your voice, to hear this conversation and really be thinking. You don't know how many times I hear people say, well, my vote doesn't really matter, Martha. Who am I? I don't have a big social media platform. I'm not engaged I don't have a national platform, even a local platform. And everybody's vote matters. Elections are lost by a handful of votes. Yes. I get countless of examples of how elections are lost by 5, 10, 20 votes.
Yes.
Every vote matters, and we all have the power to make a difference.
Yes.
Social media today has changed politics forever.
It has.
Carry cell phones, smartphones. We have the power and the ability with our voice to reach hundreds of thousands, millions of people by our activism, by our engagement, and just showing up. Show up at the school boards, go to
Yes.
county meetings, get engaged with your local municipalities. And here's the thing: it's the squeaky wheel at the end of the day that
Mhm.
that's heard. And the silent majority is silent no more. And so I just want to say thank you, and God bless you, and God bless you and yours, and also that you're called to do this. I mean, that is such a gift and a blessing to us all. So I just want to say thank you. I hope to be on your show again
Oh,
soon.
yes. Love to have you back, Martha.
Yeah.
I am grateful for you. Happy Valentine's Day to you, yours. And enjoy the beautiful Palm Springs, beautiful sunshine in Florida. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I'll be in touch, and just go
Okay.
get